Hello, 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 hello. Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you, wherever you are, whatever time it is when you listen to this. Welcome to my channel. All right, so if this ain't a full circle moment for me, Lord, this is a full circle moment for me. Doing readings out of a tent. If you know, you know. Some people would be aware of it, right? From a while ago, right? This is a real, I want to say it was about 2019, earlier in the year, so to speak, right around the time of like fashion shows, whole bunch of fashion shows. That was the last time I did readings in a tent. Usually I go to the library or someplace like that, but I'm in a tent right now, you guys. So yeah, and then I heard, can you do a reading? It's one of those, okay, you gotta give me a second, I gotta get set up for it. It's not as a big process, so to speak. It's just with everything not really being laid out or prepared for reading. That's about. Yeah, so this is pre-recorded, ladies and gentlemen. It is pre-recorded. I'll upload it later on. Some of the downloads it was that I got while I was out just walking around and stuff. Sierra Vic, that was the secondary page for Portia Kilborn. And then when it came to that was something I was like, why the fuck is Sierra Vic? It is 2026. I haven't talked to that crazy woman. We've not ever been friends. Yeah, she don't even like me. But I understand how things go with the whole tarot aspect, or not tarot aspect, y'all, cause that's what it was. Cause she had supposedly started doing tarot or whatnot behind the scenes, to my understanding. A lot of people from St. Louis, I noticed after I started posting me doing the tarot readings and things of that nature, they started posting and started getting into tarot and cards and all that as a form of divination. And at first I was like, okay, I did feel a type of way about it, because it's one of those, nobody started doing this until I did it. So it did bother me a little bit because of the time frame that it all took place. It was around the karmic essence portion that'll come into place with things, and how the karmics were attempting to finesse and finagle things so that they could be viewed as divine feminine. Now my whole thing is, if they would have mirrored, like the healing aspects and things to actually heal, it would have been a whole different situation. I wouldn't have tripped off of it so much, but I recognize that it was a lot of them that wasn't doing it for the healing aspect. They were doing it just for the recognition. And with that whole situation, what did you do last night? Last night, I did what I typically do when I'm outside. I play Earth Star Healing. The vibrations send signals into the ground that allow for Earth and nature to get the stimulus it is they need on a more calm frequency, with us running around and treading on it, for lack of better phrasing. And the whole aspect of don't tread on me. With that going on and coming into place, it was one of those, okay, let me make sure while I'm out here, I can do the Earth Star Healing and the root healing and things of that nature. That was one of the other things that kind of came into place. So because I've been paying attention to what's been coming up and from varying aspects, and it was one of those, oh well, if you're doing root work, right, one of the best ways that root work can be assisted is if you healing the earth, right? And it'll get all that bad stuff out. It'll unearth it, because it can't tolerate it anymore. So it's that part. I just heard, damn, you smart. I guess. I guess it's just a matter of when you heal the land and you are a healer in those regards. It'd be kind of hard to explain to people how things go in that regard, so to speak. But yeah, so that's typically what I do when I'm outside, so to speak. Yeah, but I was talking to my uncle, and he reflected to me a lot of the things it is that I put out there, and I was like, you know what, you're right. And it's always, for me, it's always the specifics portion that'll come into place. And it was one of those, yeah, I was like, yeah, I did kind of ask for certain things, but the way I asked for it, when I first was asking for things, I associated it a little bit differently. And then, but with me telling a person, and that's the other thing, with me telling people what it is that I would ask for, I didn't give them specifics, but I knew the specifics, and I would have asked for the specifics. That's part of the way how I knew that it was some fuckery and some foolishness that was going on in varying situations. Because it's one of those, yeah, I know what I asked for, but I also know what I told this person. So what I asked for and what I told that person, these are two completely different fucking things. That's how I could tell when something is awry, so to speak. So it's that. Other than that, though, I was looking for my talk deck. I got the Hoodoo deck out right now, and the Nature deck, and then the Sisters of the Seven Seasons and the Murder of Crows. All right, so basically with just the decks it is that called to me, it's gonna let me know that it's about some contracts, physical and spiritual contracts, and the nature of them. And from what I'm gathering from what we're going to be exploring right now, is going to be in regards to what it is that happens when past life situations reincarnate, so to speak, into present day situations. I haven't done a Seven Sisters reading in a while, so this is going to be really interesting. Yeah, I'm just going to use the Seven Sisters as indicator cards, so to speak. I'll give you as much information as I'm told to give, basically. But hopefully this will trigger some things for you guys. I know one of the other things is, right, when I was littler, right? I don't know if you guys had it happen when y'all were littler, but I do remember when I was littler. One of the things that my family used to do is we used to go across the water because there was another property over there, and it would be like a big picnic and whatnot. And I remember one of my uncles, he had this real big truck. This is how I became a big truck girl. If anybody ever wondered, anybody ever had, oh my goodness, how did you get such an affinity for cars, right? And where does your affinity for cars start? Well, this is how it started. We were at a family function, and one of my relatives, I can't recall exactly which one it was, but I know he had, I guess, what's called a hatchback truck, where it got that little covering over the back of it, and he had a mattress in it. And that's where, because we was gonna be out all day, that's where the kids could go to sleep. And I was so comfortable in that little space. So every time it was that I got a truck, I made sure that it was big enough for actual bodies to sleep in, not necessarily for, you know, the Tony Montana aspect, but for that portion. I always made sure it is. So it's that part. The other part of it was, oh, and last night, while I was asleep, I did see something that looked like it was a hand or a person that was trying to come at me. And it was one of those, oh my God, go away. Yeah, that's all I could think is, oh my goodness, just go away. Ain't nobody got time for this craziness, right? And ultimately, I just heard that's the reason why you don't stay in the house a whole lot. That is part of the reason why I don't stay in the house a whole lot, because it makes it easier for me to depict what it is that would be going on with different messages it is that I would be getting, versus that's part of the reason why I had land, for real, because I could go outside and get everything done that way, opposed to staying inside and having it enclosed or entrapped, right? And the walls, it could just be outside and it could just go ahead and pass freely. It ain't got to go through no whole bunch of portals. It ain't got to go through, whatever spiritual messages and things of that nature. They ain't got to go through no portals. They ain't got to go through a whole bunch of stuff, basically. In that regard, though, also, I'm trying to think what else. I just heard you see spirits all the time. I see spirits all the time. And like when I was at the library, that was one of the things that kept coming, that came to me. I heard the name Pearl Richardson, and I was like, that's my great grandmama. Oh my goodness, what did I do now? Yeah, it was like, I was like, what did I do now? I went to check on people, and it was one of those, I guess it's supposed to be about the togetherness and family aspect of it all. I'm kind of working through that, I guess, so to speak. But in regards to it, in the family aspect, what it's really giving is how there would be one depiction of what, because this is given in the business portion. That's why these contracts is coming up. In the business portion, how it was gotten wrong and only one part of the family was focused on. That typically be the problem that happens in regards to a lot of different situations. It's that part. The other part of it is, okay, well, I'm hearing the way you live your life is your business. Okay. That goes without saying for anyone. But on that other part of it, because with Delmar Gardens, what they did was and it's a part of the healing mechanism that they provide in the spiritual aspect. I know I can pretty much figure out which practitioners that are dealing with them. Because it would be about the healing family issues and paying attention to it and seeing who the actual healers are and stuff like that. Not even necessarily making them jump through hoops, but training them on how to handle the spiritual and the physical, and seeing how well one handles the spiritual and the physical as it physically manifests. I just heard something about Rita Harris. Yeah, she was a sweetheart. She really, really was. But, and may she rest in peace. And even within me, checking on quite a few different people when I was working there, and even at Friendship Village and all of the varying places. Because Friendship Village gave more of a karmic aspect. I knew Bast had been around a whole lot. Bast and Sekhmet and all of the, as they say, cats, but that's up for determination. And Nyx, overall Nyx. So some of the answers it is that you would be looking for would be found in the Nyx mix and what Nyx is. Nyx and the Key of Solomon, right? Nyx was the one that realistically, she warned Solomon of what it is would be his downfall. And it was the smugness, so to speak, that came into place with him creating the Tower of Babel. Now, me personally, when I review it, right, you don't have to agree with me, but when I review the Tower of Babel, it doesn't make sense for there to be so many different languages to where we wouldn't be able to understand each other in the 3D, especially when in 5D, right? And it's a show, too, that's coming to me. Oh my goodness, The Good Place, The Bad Place, right? It got Ted Danson in it, but that pretty much highlights how in 3D people would be speaking in completely different languages. But when you get to the 5D, right, in the spiritual realm, you'll understand because it's automatically translated into your mind and things of that nature what would need to be communicated. So that's the communications aspect that'll come into place with this. Happy Tuesday, right? Happy Taco Tuesday, pre-hump day, Mars, right? Would be going on. So it's that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, when I'm outside I could channel a whole lot better. I channel a lot. Channel a whole lot. But what's coming out, right? Since this is the Alchemist Code, when things are in the reverse, it doesn't necessarily always mean that it's bad. It's just what it looks like is bad versus what it is that will be coming in, right? So we got Bast and Beltane reunion. And these are oracle cards, so I'll put them in the upright. But ultimately, Bast, here's a dude that comes into place with her false prophets and false priestesses. Yeah, when a person takes on something that isn't for them, so to speak. Like with the whole Bast situation, you'll get a lot of people who will say that they are cats or relate to cats and things of that nature, but that's because of the power that's associated with them, as well as the irony of with cats, they go from realm to realm. So there's that portion fairly quickly. It'd be one of those, now you see it, now you don't. One of the things that was ironic about that was I did see a black cat, and it kept coming around me. I'm not surprised by that because I love the black kitties. I really, really do. I don't see them as bad luck, primarily because I'm a darker complected person, and people have a tendency to believe that when you're darker complected, there's a degree of evil that comes into place with you, and typically that's because you can't be programmed the way others would want you to be programmed, and it's supposed to be that you're not as easily brainwashed or controlled. That's what's supposed to happen. But I'm not going there. If you checked out my last reading with being under spiritual psychosis, with being under spiritual psychosis, that'll definitely give you a little bit of understanding, so to speak. And who's smoking a roach? It's giving somebody smoking a roach. That's what that's giving. Yeah, and trying to send some stuff. But that's that part. The other portion of it is with me looking at this and Beltane reunion. It would have been some situations that would have taken place if you would have been watching the Knicks Mix. The Knicks Mix is another way that I do readings, but I do them through musical interpretation. But around Beltane, right? And what Beltane is, and even the participation that would have came into place with Bast and Beltane. One of the situations is if a person does a sacrifice during Beltane. Can you talk about that for a minute? Absolutely. It was a situation that I noticed that took place around that time, right? And it was male calico. And around that time, the person was being very careless. They wanted everybody else to, put all this effort and energy into caring for this animal, even though they were mistreating it. So that'll be something to review. Also with Bast and Beltane reunion, it wasn't called Beltane back then, but there were a lot of what they call those rituals that required Kundalini essence and the understanding of what happens with the body as it exudes or reaches its peak in orgasm. So that's what that's going to be about. The other thing is something that's kind of coming, that's really pulling my attention to it, is the fan in here. and how the fear of fandom inside one's heart. Because what people have a tendency to forget is during Beltane, you realistically, your heart has to be open. Your heart and your desires really have to be open a lot during Beltane. It's not just a purely physical. Beltane is completely different than Bacchus, basically, is what I'm saying. Yeah, the two are not synonymous. So there's that. Okay, we got Son of Baskets and Five of Knives. So in short, the friendship that comes into place with shifting one's thoughts. Also, yeah, the offer of love that comes into place from the small offerings of doing of love to win at all costs. One of the things that always comes to me in regards to this would be how it is that in this particular Five of Knives in the Hoodoo deck, right? In this thought essence, the speaking of money. And it being the gap. And what it is to have to lay and stay in the gap. When, stay in between worlds, so to speak, or be in between worlds. I just heard break that down for me a little bit. All right, one of the things that comes with being in between worlds, first and foremost, with us talking about like the seven sisters, right? When a person is in the gap portion, think of it as one of two things. Astral projection will put you in the gap. Another thing that'll put you in the gap is unfinished business when you pass away. And whether or not, oh goodness. And whether or not you would have unfinished business with them being in the gap. The other thing would be hermit essence. Hermits and hermitesses, right? But in the hermit essence, one of the things that comes into place with standing in the gap as a hermit would be you lighting the way for those people for those souls. And it's also given like a lot of Six of Swords essence. We're crossing from one space over to the next. So I hope that helps. The other portion of it would be in the astral projection portion, being in a space, seeing what'll be going on in a space before you get there. One of the things, go ahead and say what you have to. One of the things it is that I know that happened a lot, and I hope you don't mind me utilizing him as an example, but that was because he did say I could use him as an example. But with Sphinx, right? I call him Sphinx. If you don't know who he is, don't worry about it. But with Sphinx, he was traveling through a lot of different places, and one of the messages that came up, and I giggled at it, was about mumble rapping, right? And then he took it offensively, like I was saying that he was a mumble rapper, and it was one of those, look at the people who are around you. I'm in the gap, so to speak. And I pretty much, for the most part, I have a tendency to kind of stay in the gap. And the irony of it being, it manifests in my physical reality of me being in the gap and seeing things from both sides at all times. That's a part of the Gemini essence that a lot of people don't really talk about a lot. That and the fact that Geminis don't really get the opportunity to express. They would be a bundle of emotions because they're taking in so much information, and that's due to their planet Mercury. But within that, they don't get the opportunity to really express how it is how they feel. Yeah, because it be so many times that people keep calling them two-faced and all that, which is ironic, because the same paradigm that comes into place with Gemini also takes place with Libra. So whatever that does for you. Now, even in this Son of Baskets, one of the things it is that will be coming up, it'll be about in this whole past life situation. It would have been winning at all costs. And this is Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. And this will be about, within the collecting of information as a child so that one would be able to be king in this King of Swords essence. Now, in the King of Swords essence, it's all about time. Moon sign. Yeah, pay attention to what your moon sign is ultimately. It's kind of what I'm getting, but with this Father of Knives, is giving the sun sign portion of it. And then there being this six of sticks and revert. Ensure how one wouldn't have been recognized. How it is that one wouldn't have been recognized, and it would have been a situation that would have happened 6 weeks ago. Now, in this whole King of Swords energy, King of Knives, it's about acting on the thoughts and what it is that goes on and comes into place with courting, and that's that Gemini essence or that Lover's essence that we was just talking about. Here's the deal that comes into place with King of Swords essence, period. King of Swords is the word I want to use is meticulous, but it's a little bit deeper than that, because in the King of Swords aspect, it's about being a thinker and what it is to think outside of whether or not it's recognized and doing what it is that one would feel. And in this courting aspect, and paying attention to what I'm saying is courting, right? Courting is completely different than dating. In the Beltane aspect, a lot of people would take somebody that they were dating. Now, unfortunately, it was popularized during the show Motherland Fort Salem. That was the first open depiction that was a lot less demonic in depiction. But even in that regard, it was just people having people that they were interested in and having sex with them. And it's something that's more of a Bacchus situation than Beltane situation. Beltane is meant for those who are committed in a committed relationship. That would more than likely be the reason why you would get so many people who would be trying to rush to cuffing season. Yeah, with the whole cuffing season. It's duck season, wabbit season. It's duck season, wabbit season. I'm sorry, my bad, y'all. Yeah, with the whole hunting aspect, ensure what you're hunting for. Because when you're dating, you just getting out there to see what you like, see who you know, and all this other stuff. But when you're courting a person, it's not just them, it's their family as well. Yeah, and that's really important, because that'll tell you I heard on the financial aspect, that'll tell you about how much it'll cost, what the cost of it is. And I'm not talking about costing by way of finances. I'm talking about cost by way of emotional stability and what they can and can't provide. Ooh, because the sun kind of got covered up. So it's that part. And then 3 of coins reverse, right? And where everything is falling, this is kind of giving like this whole pyramid of identity that would be coming into place with things. So ultimately, it was a situation that would have taken place during Beltane, or how a person would have committed themselves to one particular person during Beltane. And it's only that person during Beltane, but throughout the rest of the year, that's what this spiritual contract finna talk about. Oh, shit. How a person would have committed themselves during Beltane, and that would be their person for Beltane, but not necessarily their person all throughout the year. Oh, that's interesting. And because the other thing that is given is it would have been some rituals that would have been done within recognizing what the divination tactics would have been, and so that one wouldn't expand. Because what I'm getting from it is so one wouldn't bust a nut. Wouldn't bust a motherfucking nut. Y'all be doing too much. Yeah, that's the purpose of Beltane, though, to put the energy out there, not to restrict yourself or the essence and energy from doing what it is that will need to be done. And then even in this, yeah, with this Four of Baskets, it's giving the whole being uninterested in an offer. And this Father of Coins wanted to show up first, but being uninterested in the offer with the financial stability, yeah, being a third party. And within this Ace of Coins, one of the, when you look further into what it will be leading up to, one being uninterested, but about being a third party situation, or it being a celebration. The offer to celebrate with King of Coins, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, right? Yeah, because if this is talking about Beltane and a person being like, oh, you know, well, I wanted this person to be my person for Beltane, it's one of those, okay, but did you even talk to that person? Yeah, while you trying to put in requests to make a person your person, have you spoken to them in 3D? Remember what I said about that gap? That's where all ritual work and stuff comes into place. It comes into place in the gap, and you have to bring it into reality in 3D. You don't ever bring it into reality into 3D, then it's dead set. Yeah, it'll be dead. In short, it'll be about the whole using your words and your actions. Yeah, you have to actually show up to the person in order for you to actually do a Beltane reunion, for it to be a Beltane reunion. But yeah, the other thing of it is, 3 years ago, one wouldn't have been recognized as the King of Swords. And then there being, in the spiritual contract, it would be about this Sagittarius essence. The other thing that comes into place with this whole Sagittarius essence that I'm really getting from it, yeah, it'll be about, I heard what you were saying about Sagittariuses. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm at liberty to say whatever I want to say about any sign because I've tapped myself into every sign. So if I say a person is being a Sagittarius, then they're being a Sagittarius. That's going to be about how it is you view certain things. Now, even in regards to that, I just heard, okay, I'm getting an apology. I'm sorry for how I view the interpretations. Well, okay, so here's the deal that comes into place with that. I hope you say it to me in real life, whoever you are. Okay. Apology accepted. Primarily because when you stand on business. When you standing on business, that constitutes you as a Sagittarius. You want to know why? Because your awareness is making you pay attention to what is for you versus what isn't for you. And yeah, that would be terrorizing to those people who want other things from you. Now, in regards to what it is that would be projected in a dark night of the soul, being in suspense of what it is that will go on in a dark night of the soul with varying situations. And for the alchemical aspect, it'll be about the incoming offers. One of the things that happens with, a lot of people, here's the deal that comes into place. In real life, right, since this is more so like the gap thing, if you ever pay attention to, in the hoodoo aspect, Elegba, right? He's typically depicted as a man with a cane and a dog, right? Everybody likes to focus on his trickster. No, because now that's kind of leading to the medical aspect of trichomonas. Oh my goodness. I want to say that's a bacteria that pretty much just grows in men. Like, period. And when it's in a woman, it's because he haven't cleaned himself well. But, okay. But a lot of people focus on the trickster aspect that comes into place with Elegba. But Elegba is a messenger. just the same as, yeah, a lot of people are, right? They're messengers and they're just fulfilling whatever request it is that will come into place. So pay that some attention. In addition to that, it'll be about the Sagittarius aspect and not the Virgo aspect, right? And what is the teenage aspect? Yeah, so in regards to how old one would have been when they first would have began participating in Beltane, right? One of the things that's kind of coming to me, oh my goodness, is a reel it was that I saw, and it's one of those, I'm a teenager, why would you expect for me to be responsible, right? But you can't necessarily always say that, because within saying that, it discredits those teenagers that are responsible. And it's not necessarily about birth placement or anything like that. It's just a matter of you have to, it's a case by case basis. So there's that. Yeah, I done did like about a good 4 or 5 different perspectives and readings. If it don't fit, don't force it. Just relax and let it go. Just 'cause that's how you want it doesn't mean it will be so. If it don't fit, don't force it. There's that. The other portion of it is the Marines, not the Army, and different situations it is that would have come into place with that. Nah, because that's bringing up maritime laws. It's giving the timing aspect of things, and how even in the spiritual world, in the maritime aspect, once you cross the water, you've broken a bunch of shit, whether you realize it or not. Yeah, so if like you start worrying about it then, and you've already broken it, you kind of putting it back into place, but you putting it into place for your own self. Is this it? Okay. So in the spiritual aspect, right, it'll be about the Sagittarian aspect and there being what it is that will be projected. And with Neptune all being in Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, and one reciprocating and a rebirth. The other portion of it is going to be about the dark night of the souls ending. A dark night ending. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, and I'm feeling good. Dun-dun, dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. And then there being Air Force. Some situations that will go on with the Air Force. It's pretty much giving a relationship that comes into place. Okay, I just heard that's it. The relationship that comes into place with fire and air, but not necessarily earth. That's a alchemical aspect that is a part of, I'm seeing something burning in a furnace right now. Not a furnace, a kiln. K-I-L-N. A kiln. Now, okay, so if a person is asking about something to do for a date, glass blowing is kind of what that's giving. Glass blowing. No, because it's talking about glass blowing, but also gas lighting. What it is to gaslight, what it is to be gaslit, right? And it's Nine of Pentacles and Queen of Pentacles. In short, what it is that goes on when a person is single. Yeah, how a group of persons, because what this is giving is how a group of persons would persecute an individual for being single. And then when you would force, this is going deeper into that courting situation. All right, go ahead, say whatever you have to. When you keep forcing, when you ask single women, when you gonna get married? When you gonna get married? When you gonna get in a relationship? When you gonna do this? When you gonna do that? Right? Yeah, when? Yeah, so, yeah, when you gonna have kids, when you gonna do this, when you gonna do that, and all of that. Opposed to allowing them to just be in their Empress essence and just wait for whoever it is that they will be with. So, wow. Yeah, that was totally unexpected to come out, but okay. Okay, so In regards to like this whole young mindset dying is the other thing that I'm getting from this, right? It'll be about what it is that would take place in the dark night of the soul, and there being reciprocation involved, and that being something that will be reborn. It'll be about the work in the tower, the work in the tower, and there being this King of Pentacles aspect, and the stability that comes with movement and being unapologetic. How one would move unapologetically. And the other portion of it would be about how one would move without an apology. In short, the apology doesn't make the person move. It's the movement comes whether there's an apology or not. In this whole tower moment, I heard say what you had to. I wrote a letter to Jackie. She was the property manager. I knew that she was playing spiritual games with me. If you know, you know. She was playing spiritual games with me. And within her playing those spiritual games with me, I wrote a letter to her letting her know that I know that she was playing those spiritual games with me. And then I left it there for her. And so she could give it to whoever else needed to see that. I'm a letter writer. That's what it is. I am a letter writer. Everything that's written down, for whatever reason, it causes, it has more of a profound effect. Because in that regard, it's one of those, couldn't nobody tell you nothing. You couldn't say that you didn't get it. If you didn't get the message, that's not my fault. I wrote it down and I left it in a place for you to get it. For you to get it, for you to see it. To where I knew you would get it. So yes, I did do that for her. Yeah, and in that regard, that'll be about the whole cycle being closed. Now, the other portion of it, within the courting aspect and the tower moments that come into place with working through a tower moment and there being financial stability within one movement. A lot of times what it's talking about is you can get how it is one would get financial stability and the amount of financial stability that comes with over the course of 8 years and what it is that would be written. In short, it'll be about the whole it is written situation. And how the spoken word aspect of it is supposed to, okay, so what's being brought up that I'm hearing is whether or not something's written doesn't make it more valid, because a lot of oral history was lost when those orators or orators, however you want to pronounce it, died. That was part of the reason why they started writing down a lot of stuff. But in short, a lot of stuff would have been, you have to tap into it. You can't necessarily just, bring it up and bring it out like that. Because you can't always look in a book. You can't always look in a book. Some stuff has to be told. And that's giving voice recognition. Is this about that YFN Lucci stuff that had Lil Baby on it? Yeah, I was like, that ain't none of this him. Get that out of my, I don't want to see that. Yeah, and Trap Gypsy. Ain't nobody got time for that. Because that be how people like to play spiritual games, especially if they know that you're clairaudient and telepathic, and there's a difference. Telepathic means you can speak without words. Clairaudient means you can hear another person's thoughts. And in the King of Swords aspect, they have the potential to do both, but that also comes into place with, if one would have been younger, if they could do that, they can get labeled as schizophrenic and all this other type of stuff that'll happen. Yeah, but that's if they're not allowed to hone their spiritual gifts and learn how to ground themselves and actually, because it's the same principle. I don't think people really recognize it, but it's the same principle that comes into place with not thinking out loud, but you would think something so loudly that another person can hear it. When you put a lot of energy and effort and emotion into that particular thought. By the way, the speed of thought travels faster than the speed of light. Fun fact. So, trust in magic and seek your destiny. It being one's nature to trust their magic and to seek their destiny. That's why that number 47 was coming in. Now, earlier today, I was talking about my mom and how she passed away at 47. And I spoke that word out right off the bat, right? And in this depiction, it's a crow, right? Yeah, no, because when it comes to eating crow, how a lot of people, it's a restaurant called that, right? Yeah, and how crows are supposedly tough and gamey and things of that nature. That makes a lot of sense for them, though, because they have a degree of intelligence to the same as humans. And I pretty much knew that the crow aspect was going to come out, because crows are the birds that, or the air symbol that does what the ground symbol of the cat does. So this is going to be interesting. Oh, goodness, it's going to be real interesting. Yeah, because the spiritual contract requires for a person to be single. Single, independent, yeah, and be able to take whatever offer it is that they will want. It doesn't require for a person to be codependent or interdependent, yeah, or in a relationship or anything like that. The spiritual contract requires for a person to be single. Protect the wild and green. Time to reflect. It being in one's nature, right? To trust in the magic that comes within seeking one's destiny and protecting the wild and green. Time to reflect. No, because the way that this is gonna come up is you'll get some people who do the literal thing with this, and they'll do, because I've noticed this happens a lot, especially with earth sign energies, wherever it is that this will be, and I'll call out the planets in a little bit, but they'll be looking for a person named Destiny, or it'll be a person named Destiny. And yeah, and they'll figure that that'll be the person that can tell them whatever. Now, in a divination aspect, that be where people be messing up with stuff. But I'm not gonna go there. Show that you care, right? In short, time to reflect. Show the way that this is coming in. Show what you don't care about. Within nurturing all you love. This is about the law of detachment. And do not fear the unknown and see the signs. One of the situations that'll come into place with it, are you gonna? The main thing I want to say in regards to this is, yeah, because it was a spiritual message for me. Go do a reading. Can you do a reading? Can you do a reading? That's a spiritual message for me, and I pretty much follow whatever my spirit tells me to do. Typically, there's a notion with following your spirit. For me, it's an action, but for others, it's a feeling. So there's that. The other portion of it is, and it came out a while ago, so I'll go ahead and talk about it because it's coming up. How during sex magic, right, you'll get, when one would ejaculate, so to speak, you could read what's in the sperm and the diseases that'll come into place with that. Part of that will be about Lathrop mathematics. Now, in the Lathrop mathematics aspect of this, it's going to be talking about how something wouldn't necessarily be in the sexual organs, so to speak. What I'm thinking is it'll be about the whole clearing out aspect. Dang, where is it? But it'll also be in regards to what it is that will be going on in the veins. I want to say the kidneys as well. And within the lymphatic system. What I'm getting from it is it's going to be about a clot. Now, you got to pay attention to whether this clot is going to be coming from as a blood clot or if this is going to be coming as a shaping of a muscle. So it's that part. The other portion of it is going to be about different surgeries it is that would have come into place, childhood surgeries. It's given with one's tonsils being taken out. and how some of that would have happened from three years ago. No, you want to no. Okay, so in the Beltane aspect, it'll be about I want you to touch that little dangly thing that's sit in the back of my throat. That'll be y'all play too much. Y'all play too much. Oh, but what it is that would have gone on in the surgery aspect, it would have been what it is that would have gone on in because this King of Wands would have been like the anesthesiologist and the surgeon. Ooh, and what would have been projected in regards to what would have led to there having to be reciprocation. Okay, so even in the whole Beltane portion, yeah, like depending on when you would have had kids. Not when you would have had them, when you would have made them. Oh my goodness, this is a lot. I haven't done. It's only been 2 days that I ain't did a reading. Pause. That's okay though. I'm happy about this. Yeah, because there was a whole bunch of stuff that would have been going on. I heard, is it something different with you that you notice with other people? Yeah, the spirits that would have passed away, because even in this regard, it would be about that higher order aspect that would have come with a person who would have passed away that would have been an Army veteran or would have been a Scorpio or a Scorpio essence. Excuse me. But what it is that would happen, right? And the projections that come into place with... Yeah, because I learned a long time ago, when the figure is darker, it's going to be a person. If the figure is a little bit more lighter and not as solid, then it's a spirit. That's how I personally tell the difference between who is doing what. And yeah, even with spiritual messages, because spiritual messages sometimes come in distorted from people who are alive opposed to people who would have passed away. So there's that. And sure, it being one's nature, right, to trust in the magic within seeking their destiny, to protect the wild and green within there being time to reflect on how one wouldn't have showed that they cared within nurturing all that they love, and not fearing the unknown of the signs, and sure, not knowing what the signs are. One of the things is I'm hearing like street signs and stuff. Yeah, if you're talking about like hand stuff, pay attention to the hand stuff and sign language. So it's that part. The other portion of it, the intuition that comes into place with seeing the signs. And if you know, in one's birth chart, there are different ways that you could heal a person without necessarily having surgery. And this is part of the reason why there keep being, oh, let me hurry up and get out of here, out of this energy. There's different ways that you can heal the body without necessarily having surgery. You can just, heal that part of your lineage, so to speak, or heal that particular essence, is the best way that I can explain it. Yeah, because one of the things that preempted me to be open about my spiritual journey was the fact that my son had Crohn's disease. While he does technically still have it, he's not suffering from it the way he was before. He's putting on weight. Yeah, he's healthier. And that was something that I did, understanding the way my essence and energy works. So I hope that helps you guys out too. With finishing the Lathrop mathematics, it'll be about in one's mind what it is that would have taken place within one, winning at all costs for the financial aspect and the mind and the extension. That was something else that was coming. That was coming up to me, right? In the literal sense, right? Pay attention to, because Bryson Tiller's song, right, was coming up. Typically, I don't like to hear Bryson Tiller. It's not because he's a bad artist or nothing, but it's because I know some of the songwriters and some of the people that he was partnered with, and I didn't really care for him. Yeah, I ain't care for Jacquees either, because I know a whole bunch of stuff that happened with that too. Don't get me started. I'm not going there. But what I will say is, the song Exchange was coming up, right? And if you know the breakdown of a phone number, when you know the breakdown of a phone number, right? Yeah, and it's given that whole, they had a meme that depicted like what it is you would need or what it is that you would want, and it was on the phone dial, so to speak, and you push whatever that number is, and it was according to the old phone dial. So it's that. The other thing though, right? Do you know the breakdown? Yeah, because this is given like the whole Southwestern Bell and all that other stuff that would have come into place. Yeah, and how you would need to know area code exchange is those 3, and then the last 4 is called an extension. When you break down the way telephone numbers and calculations and stuff are put together, right? Yeah, because something that was coming to me was a long time ago when a person was trying to tell me what their phone number was. By the time it got to me, the way that my brain broke it down, it reduced it to a simple number. By the time it went from their lips to my head, even with thought being the fastest way, right, or being faster than the speed of light, it still broke it down completely different by the time it got to me. That's the purpose of with the whole Gemini essence, there being communication, actual communication, because the mind is so jumbled. They said it in Vampire in Brooklyn, they say it in Shaolin Monks, they say it with so many different aspects, the mind being so jumbled, and people, being mindful, M-I-N-D space F-U-L-L, versus being mindful, M-I-N-D-F-U-L, all right? Yeah. Being very cutesy. Yeah, I'm being very cutesy, demure, right? And how that was the money phrase was demure. And when a person would say it, then they would get the money, right? So to speak, yeah. That automatically let you know that they wanted the people to get the money. So in any event, and in the arms. Yeah, so what is given... Okay, I just heard something about a prosthetic arm. If somebody with I know ain't nobody with no prosthesis trying to do no spell work, no magic. You really shouldn't be doing that, because you're not healthy enough for it. That was the problem with the last damn Pope. He up here doing spell work and stuff, and he damn near in the damn ground opening that other fucking door. He had no reason to do that. I'm not going there. I am not going there. I already went there, but he really shouldn't have been opening that additional door without having any guidance and realistically having really bad intentions behind it. Now, that wasn't something that happened last Christmas. That was something that happened the Christmas before last, but it'll have a lasting effect. So that's going to be something. And then what it is that goes on within the friendships, the friendships over the course of 5 days, and how it would shift from, the friendship them thought and it not being recognized as a courtship 3 years ago. Yeah, it's one of those how a person would, oh, I just see her. No, you know what it's giving? That's my friend. And how people didn't screw that terminology up. Don't get me started. The other portion of it is, though, right? The incoming recognition of divination. And how you'll get people who can do divination through the glass ball. Remember when I said about the glass blowing? Through the glass ball or a crystal ball. You got people who could do it with water. And you have people who can do it with money. Right? Is it called coin throwing? But yeah, because the throwing bones ain't on her. Oh no, I don't know how to do all this stuff. Pause. Let me say this. I haven't attempted to yet. And when you get a particular type of divination, it's okay for you to be comfortable with one type and just utilize other types as necessary. So is that. Yeah, but you don't have to specialize in everything. That typically be the problem. Yeah, people be trying to pull the Highlander on your ass. I am immortal. I have inside me blood of kings. I have no rival. No man can be my equal. The irony that comes into place with that, it says no man can be his equal. It didn't say anything about a woman. I'm just saying. Food for thought. But yeah, hopefully I'm going to close and seal this reading. Right? Hopefully it helps you guys out. If you have your own, if you have any additional questions about your personal situation, feel free to contact me at lightworkandlightworkllc@gmail.com. Honestly, I have gotten really good reviews from it in the past, regardless of what it is that would have taken place since. I'm only laughing about it right now, because what this is giving is in the whole past life situation. It would have been for real, as this is summarizing and breaking down. Pay attention to who your lovers were in the past life during Beltane and who would have stole who during that Beltane Bacchus situation is what that's giving. All right. So, and that would carry over. Okay, and Amunet. That would carry over into Persephone. Ooh. Yeah, no, because what that is giving is how it would translate over into the next life, and how along the seven sisters, how the music would be what would guide a person out. It's saying amulet, but yeah, I'm thinking amulet because that's something that's been coming up a whole lot, and it wouldn't be amulet. It'll be about amunet. And what it is that would have been at the heart of the thoughts. And how, in short, you could think yourself into love just the same as you could think yourself into a heartache. And what it is that happened with Persephone being Hades' wife, and the truth, which truth it is you want to acknowledge that comes into place with Persephone. Because you get the one side of it where, he stole her from her mom. And then you get the other side of it where, that would be if the mom was telling a story. But if you get it from the other side, it would be that was her choice. So it's all about perspective. It's all about perspective. And if you see the other perspective of things, you could pretty much get a good idea of what it is that will go on from the paradigm that person is making a decision out of. I just heard, any final thoughts? Yeah, I do have a final thought. Okay, so I know this is not going to sound right, and some people going to judge me for it. I really don't care. I said what I said about the whole Jezebel situation. Jezebel, realistically, was paying Paul back for dissing Jesus. I said it. Yep, I said it. And ultimately, it's the cause and effect, reaping what you sow in real time at that time. And even in this, with cutting the head off, because I seen a couple readings about somebody getting diseases and stuff. I was like, from the Jezebel spirit, I was like, that's called karma. Because if you sacrificing a person, let's seriously think about this, ladies and gentlemen. If a person is attempting to sacrifice someone who is innocent or who wants to, done spell work, whatever, they deserve the Jezebel spirit. That's balance. That would be balance. And in short, it goes to show that both what constitutes as dark and light has its purpose. All right. I'm closing and sealing this reading. Hopefully, it gives you guys some guidance and clarity in your own personal lives. Right. I got a few other things it is that I have to take care of. Love to you, okay? But see, remember, light work, it ain't light work. It is not light work. It's not light work, all right? And that's why you have to stay light while you work.